Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World. Welcome to the first video in what I hope is going to actually be a whole video series where I recommend to you authors from the early part of the 20th century that I think that you have to read. Now, the authors that are featured in this video and subsequent videos, hopefully, are all authors in which I have read either all of their work or nearly all their work or all the work in a certain series or something like that, so I can recommend to you like a full body rather than I've read one book by this person, if that makes sense. So, I have 4 authors to share with you. Let's jump straight in. So the first author I want to recommend to you, and if you haven't read one of her books, then please do, if you're into vintage classic crime, and that is Patricia Wentworth. I do harp on about Patricia Wentworth a lot, I know, but she just so deserves the hype. So the series in which I'm talking about is the Miss Silver series. So Miss Silver is a super sleuth. She is a detective. She has a little flat in London and she is a retired governess, and with her pen, pencil and her knitting, off she goes to solve crime, and it is wonderful. These books are around the same time as Agatha Christie, starting from the late 20s up to the 1960s, so Agatha Christie was going a bit longer. There's over 30 books in the Miss Silver series, but the Miss Silver series is fantastic. I will be doing a whole video soon on where to start and favourites when it comes to Patricia Wentworth Miss Silver, because, oh, you should read them. But I do talk about Patricia Wentworth a lot because she's a wonderful writer, and B, I do think, like all of these in this series, these authors I feel are very underread. I don't think they're underrated, because I think when people read them actually they get quite high ratings, but I do think they're underread, and more people need to read them, and Patricia Wentworth is just one of those in the classic crime genre that I do feel gets overlooked. I think when you think of classic crime of the early mid part of the 20th century, you do think Christie, Sayers, Marsh, Allingham, and these names do spring into mind. But Wentworth was wonderful, and her books are still around, and you should definitely read them. So Wentworth for the win. The next author of the kind of mid-20th century that I want to recommend to you that I feel is underread is one that you'll be like, what? And that is Barbara Pym. But hear me out. This is Excellent Women by Barbara Pym, and I watch a lot of videos and read a lot of stuff on Barbara Pym because I love her stuff. I've read all of it multiple times. And the thing about Barbara Pym is I watch these videos, I read these blogs, and people read Barbara Pym in the sense of they read Excellent Women and either they leave it there or they may read one more. I don't watch a lot of videos, I don't see a lot of people that read the canon and they read everything that she's produced, and you should. I know so many people out there that say, oh yeah, I really enjoyed Excellent Women, and they stopped, but keep going. Because Barbara Pym is great. Excellent Women, I do think is fantastic. It's set in London, which is nice, but there's so many books that have that country cosy twee setting too. And she really focused on the everyday things. Like Barbara Pym, she'd go out with like a little notepad and pen, and if she'd just see like some people communicating in a certain way, she'd just write it down and be like, oh, that's good, I'll shove that in my book. And it's wonderful. She just writes the mundane, everyday stuff so well, and I absolutely adore her for it. So if you have read Excellent Women and you liked it, please don't just finish there. Keep going. Read everything by Barbara Pym. Another author that I need to recommend to you of the kind of early mid-20th century is Elizabeth Taylor. This one is The Soul of Kindness. I have all of her stuff here. The only thing left of Elizabeth Taylor's that I need to plough through is the short story collection, which is this big old bind up here, because that's all of them. Elizabeth Taylor wrote 12 full-length novels, but I think what puts people off Elizabeth Taylor is her name is Elizabeth Taylor, and so people presume it's the actress and not the writer. I mean, let's be honest, Taylor isn't exactly an uncommon surname, and Elizabeth is a common name. I mean, hello. If you didn't know, Lil is short for Lilibet, which is short for Elizabeth. So not exactly an uncommon name, and lots of people in her own lifetime thought she was Elizabeth Taylor actress, not Elizabeth Taylor writer. Just got the same name, all right? Elizabeth Taylor, I feel, writes like Barbara Pym, but darker. She also writes the mundane of everyday life, but it has this kind of dark element to it, and it gets in your head. And a lot of her books I read and I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't expecting that, and then suddenly wallop. It feels like you're hit with a 10-ton truck. I mean, this one, for instance, Soul of Kindness, was wonderful, and then the ending, I was like, it kind of reminded me of Vile Bodies by Evelyn Waugh. If you've read that, you'll know what happens there, and there's similarities in this. There's other books as well, and they have this, it's the reality of life, but also not just the lightness of it, the darkness of it as well, and I love that. And yeah, Elizabeth Taylor's so good. So good. And more people need to read her. Thank you. And last but not least, I have Ursula Orange. This book is Begin Again, which was her first book. These books by Ursula Orange have been reprinted by Dean Street Press as part of their Furrowed Middlebrow imprint series. When Ursula Orange passed away, she had written 6 books, 3 of which have been republished, 3 of which I have read, 2 of which have got 5 stars, and the other got like 4.5. And I just love her. If it wasn't for Dean Street Press for Middlebrow, I probably would never have read them. So thank you very much to Dean Street Press for republishing them. I hope in the future her other 3 books come back into print, because her writing style is something that you can't quite put your finger on. She is funny, she's light, she's airy, she has this cozy feel, but she also has this feeling of reality. And I feel like she really kind of gets under the skin of people that she's writing about, the characters in which she's writing about. I feel like perhaps the characters that she's written are characters either she knows very well or perhaps she's had dealings with. And I just love her. She is an exquisite writer. And yeah, again, I am seeing people now talking about Ursula Orange, but still not enough. So there we have it. Those are 4 authors from the early part of the 20th century who I feel are underread. Patricia Wentworth, Barbara Pym, Elizabeth Taylor, and Ursula Orange. Now, if you would like this to become a series and you want me to do more of them, let me know in the comments section down below, and I will recommend some more authors from the early part of the 20th century. I hope you have enjoyed this video and perhaps series, and I shall see you soon for the next video. Bye for now.